Muppet Show with our very special guest star, Mr. Steve Martin.
I'm a big Muppets fan. I have been ever since I was little. No matter what they're in, you know it's going to be a good time. But there's always been one Muppet who stuck out to me as my favorite. The Swedish Chef. I don't know why, he's just got this fun, spunky energy that just makes him so entertaining. But recently I thought about his design a little bit. And, it made me rethink everything I know about the Muppets.
Alright, so Kermit's a frog, Miss Piggy is a pig, and Fozzie's a bear. Makes sense, everything checks out there. But the Swedish Chef is... human? I guess that wouldn't be that weird, except that there's other humans in the Muppet world as well. So it brings up the question, are they human or not?
Thankfully, I'm not the first person to ask this. The Muppets 2011 involves a musical number called Man or Muppet, which involves the main two characters, Gary and Walter, questioning themselves as to whether they are a Muppet of a man or a very manly Muppet.
Gary, I've gone home. I love you, but you need to decide. Are you a man or a Muppet?
At the end of the song, Gary decides that he is a Muppet of a man, and Walter decides that he is a very manly Muppet.
I'm a Muppet of a man. I'm a very manly Muppet.
So this seems like a pretty open and shut case, right? All the human-looking Muppets are just very manly Muppets. Except that this is actually made more complicated by the fact that these two characters are brothers.
This obviously can't be so clear-cut, because otherwise genetics would dictate that these two would be the same species, and they wouldn't need to sing a whole song about it.
And before you ask, I checked the whole movie, and it never mentions once that either one of them is adopted, or that they're stepbrothers. As far as the movie's concerned, they are blood-related.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. We could be twins.
Okay, so if we are to believe what the song suggests, that men and Muppets are completely different races, then that would imply that Muppets like, you know, Swedish Chef, Dr. Teeth, those two old guys in the balcony that just complain all the time, they are not humans. They are Muppets. They are fully 100% Muppet. There is no human in them. As much as they look like a human, they are not a human, they are a Muppet. But now we're left with an even more complicated question.
What actually is a Muppet, and are they as innocent as we all thought they were? Are all Muppets one species, or are they a myriad of different puppet creatures?
Well, that answer can be found in the 2014 film Muppets Most Wanted. I don't have the case for that one. There is a seemingly meaningless shot during the Something So Right musical number that provides a key piece of evidence for our discussion. During this song, we see a short shot of Miss Piggy's vision of the future, which involves her and Kermit living in a suburban house with green pigs and pink frogs. This one gag single-handedly reveals two truths about the Muppet universe and the Muppet species themselves. The fact that these two have kids proves that A, Muppets reproduce sexually, and B, these two aren't the animals they're claiming to be. You see, if a pig and a frog were to reproduce in real life, there wouldn't be any offspring, partly because they're super different genetically, and secondly because I'm not even sure that frogs have sex in real life. The fact that these two are able to procreate together proves that Kermit and Miss Piggy are not actually a frog and pig, but Muppets that look like a frog and pig. If you need more proof though, Kermit's falsehood is further exemplified in the 2002 film Kermit's Swamp Years. You see, in that movie, as well as the 1994 film Muppets Take Manhattan, Kermit is shown as a tadpole. Except, if you know anything about frog biology, tadpoles are fully amphibious creatures, and yet this guy has legs. That's not a tadpole, that's a baby frog. The fact that as a baby, Kermit is a bipedal little frog monster proves that he's not actually a frog and he's been faking it the whole time. He is a Muppet who looks like a frog. He's not actually a frog. Anyway, if Kermit isn't actually a frog and Miss Piggy isn't actually a pig, then using Occam's razor, we can assume that the other Muppets are also lying.
If you want to look at other Muppets, though, there's tons of inconsistencies between the animals they claim to be and the way they actually act. Like, for example, Sam the American Eagle, despite being this big bird of
There's a train in the middle of my take.
As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, you can look at the other Muppets as well, and the way they act doesn't line up with what animal they claim to be. For example, Sam the American Eagle, despite being a bird of prey, has never once flown. Also, Peppa the Prawn's been so long out of the water he should have dried up and died by now. But he's still kicking.
But why would the Muppets lie about what animals they are? Well, they're stage performers. You see, Kermit is no more a frog than I am in this silly costume. It's a name. It's a stage name he puts on so that everybody knows that's Kermit the Frog. Kind of like how Dwayne Johnson pretends to be a rock. But if the Muppets are all one creature, then how do you get so much genetic variability that you have a dragon and an old guy and moldy cheese in the same gene pool? Aliens. In the 1999 movie, Muppets from Space, we are shown that Gonzo is an alien. So since he's an alien, he looks kind of weird. But honestly, despite his weird nose, he kind of looks like every other Muppet. I mean, he's about the same size as all the main Muppets, and he's made of felt, which seems to be the only consistency. So by that logic, who's to say that Gonzo isn't the only alien in the cast? Who's to say that Muppets didn't land on Earth long ago and began to evolve and develop natural traits that made them look completely different from one another? Perhaps these aliens are able to evolve with much more genetic variability over a much faster period of time, allowing them to create such a diverse gene pool.
Perhaps Muppets are even able to, with enough time, evolve beyond their felty exterior and appear to be real animals. Like humans? Maybe in the Muppets universe, Muppets have evolved so far that people are justifiably unsure whether they are Muppets or men.
Perhaps Gary isn't a Muppet of a man, but a very, 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 very manly Muppet.
The Swedish Chef may be a Muppet, but what are you? What am I?
What am I? I've spent my whole life believing I was a man, but after doing all of this research, am I possibly... No. It can't be. I can't be a Muppet. My whole life can't be a lie, can it? Maybe I'll never know. Maybe the only thing I can do is sing about it.
Am I a Muppet?
Well, that clears things up, I guess.
Can someone please tell me why I always catch myself looking for answers that cannot be found every time I do it?